Welcome to Yeshiva Daf, your sponsor, Louis Nishma, Sam Yaakov Shalom Leah Basitzchok. We're holding in Horayos Daf Yud, starting the third parak on the Horayos. Very quickly, we finished the first two prakim. We got to the third and last parak on the Horayos. That's what happens when you have a Masechta of 13 blatt. So we're in that, it says the Mishnah. Kohen Mashiach Shechoto v'achakach over mimishichusay. You have a Kohen Mashiach, Kohen Gadol. He did a chet as a Kohen Mashiach, and he stopped being a Kohen Mashiach. He stopped being a Kohen Gadol.
So this is a different sugi completely.
Yeah, so we'll do back. You have a king who was a king, and they stopped being a king. Rather, you show you point out how can a king stop being a king? Nossi is a king, as we'll see. Nossi is a king. That's the Nossi Masechta Horayos. So we'll see in a moment. But how can he stop being? So he said he was they rebelled. They rebelled against it. What? So Raz goes to the son, and then he's like half. Here we're talking about he's completely out. But yeah, good point.
Why can't you have a king? Why can't you just sleep? I don't want to be king.
There's no application.
Maybe there's no such thing.
The guy in England did it.
Yeah. Kol Mashiach Mevi Par Ve'anosi Mevi Seir. We know the Kohen Mashiach, Kohen Gadol brings a power. We spoke about it already a few times, and the king brings a seir. Mashiach Shaov Mishichusay Ve'achakachot. Now, he didn't do a chet while he was a Kohen Gadol, but after he was a Kohen Gadol, he did a chet. So then what's the din? Kohen Mashiach Mevi Par. The Kohen Mashiach continues, even though he's not a Kohen Gadol anymore. He continues to bring a par. The Anosi, the king, once he stops being king, goes back to be a regular guy. So we'll see. Says the Gemara. There's different, as the Rashi points out, there's two different Gersos. We'll stick with the gears that we have in our Gemara. You tell me that if he was a Kohen Gadol after he was a Kohen Gadol, and he did a chet afterwards, the whole Maaseh happened after the kuna ended. You say the din is he brings a bar. So choto v'chakach u'mishechus tzricho l'meimar. So what until if I tell you the last part of the Mishnah, or until the beginning part of the Mishnah? If once the Kohen Gadol retired, then he did a chet, then he still brings a par. So obviously, when he did a chet while he was a Kohen Gadol, he brings a par. Says the Gemara, Mishnah, "Tani gabe nosi dechiyavam nesios v'chakach choto ke'etin ma'isi, achetani gabe Mashiach choto v'chakach ovam levipar." Says the Gemara, and I'll tell you why. Because by a king, we have a difference. The king, if he did the chet before he stopped being king, and then he still brings a seir. But if he did the chet after, so then he goes back to a regular headyard. So that's why I wanted to show the difference. I pointed out the Kohen Mashiach after and before is the same, even though you don't tell me the before if I already know after. Says the Gemara, how do we know that? It says it will be the pasuk is v'hikriv al chatosoy. V'yakrava on the chet means even on the chet afterwards. Sherchol v'alodino. Chura osek al v'chaymer. Uman nosi shemivi b'shgogos ma'aseh. Ein mivi chatosoy mishova. A king, he does bring when he does a regular shgog, as we saw earlier. A king who does a regular classic mistake. He ate the wrong wheat. The din is he brings a korban. But once he stops being king, he doesn't bring his korban. Mashiach she'im mishgogos ma'aseh ela alem dov mishgogos ma'aseh by Kohen Gadol. If he just made an honest mistake, it doesn't work. It needs to be a psak halacha. The Kohen Gadol has to write a psak. So the kol sheken that he will not bring a korban mishova, because you see that it's more difficult. There's more of a chiddush, more of a requirement for a Mashiach to bring a korban than the Nasi to bring a korban. A Nasi can bring a korban, and he just made an honest mistake, he brings a korban. But a Mashiach, it needs to be a much bigger process. It has to be paskin halacha. So maybe I would say the same thing applies also. The after will be the same.
Is the Nasi talking about Shkiga or Helam Dov?
By a Nasi, there's no such thing as Helam Dov. There's only a din of shgog. He doesn't have a din of psak. We don't have such a concept.
You can't pass it. It's not an issue.
He could, but we don't have that concept regarding the special korban that he brings. Says the Gemara, Talmud Loima, V'yikriv al Chatosoi. What's al Chatosoi? Not to reveal Chatosoi b'Shover. The extra word of Chatos tells you that even after he's a Kohen, he still brings. Says the Gemara, V'nesi nami nosi mikal v'chomer. So a nosi, a king, should also bring mikal v'chomer. Uma Mashiach Shem Yivishgav is Maise. Maybe Chodet Mishovar. Nosi should be Chodet Mishovar is Maise. Einu Nidid should maybe Chodet Mishovar. Right? So if a Nosi, that, now we'll do that, the Kavachomer to the other direction. If Mashiach, when he calls Mashiach, he doesn't bring an honest shoygig. But only when you have Psak Halacha. But once if he stops being a Kohen Gadol, he still brings the carbon of a par. No, see, that does bring Mishgog as Meiser. This should be Chadashol. Exactly meaning the flip side of the same Kavachomer. Talmud Loima Asher Nosi Yechto Kashu Nosi in Kashu Adot Loi. So we dash a pasuk Asher Nosi when he's a Nosi. It's a special limud. Don't tell me the Kavachomer that you think to say that makes a lot of sense. You don't say that in this case. Asher Nosi Yechto tells me differently. So the Mishnah. Now we're talking about a case that they were regular people, the Kohen or the Nasi, and before they became, then they did a chait, and then they were appointed to be either a king or a Kohen God. They still bring the carbon that they had to be before. Because you go based on the time of the chait. The time that the Gemara mentioned it earlier in the Masechta. That we go, that's the idea of Tanakama, that you go based on the time of the chait. I don't care the time of the Yediyah when he found out about the mistake. If he found out before he was appointed, because you had chait, the Yediyah before, then I agree. But if the Yediyah came after the Potter, and as Gemara said earlier, and Rashi puts that here, you need to have two conditions. According to Hashem, you have to have Chata and Yediyah in one, called one guf. Huh? Before he's king or before he's Kohen God. Now it says the Mishnah, Eizu Nasi, Zemelech, that's the king. Shenema mikol mitzvah Hashem l'kol, she'en gaba b'Hashem l'kol. There's nothing above him except Hashem. Who's the person who's en gaba but Hashem? Is like, that's the Melech. So we know over here that the Nasi here is referring to a king. So going on immediately, the Torah Rabbanon, Imakoyen, Hamashiach, Yechto, Prat, Lekoidmus. So once the Kohen Mashiach does the chait, well, that's only for the new Chatoim. But the earlier Chatoim, not going to bring the part. Follow Dinu. Now we do the Dinu. The Din now the Gemara is going to say is, it's like, it's cup, we're doing a Din with assumptions that we're not going to know till later. But the Gemara is going to say, like, even if I know the later, I have a din, and then we're going to go later and say the din to the other direction. Nasi, again, go back to what we said before the Mishnah. Nasi brings for a shgoga only, for only a mistake without psak. He doesn't bring on what happened before. How do you know that? That's what the Gemara is going to say soon. We'll bring a pasuk, it doesn't bring before. Mashiach brings it only when he has a psak halacha. And of course, he's not going to bring what happened before he was a kohen. So the Gemara right? Yeah, go back to what we said right before the Mishnah. A kohen gadol, a king, after he stops being a king, and he did a chait, now he's treated as an individual. What about Kohen Gadol? That after the chait, he is still bringing a korban. Maybe he's going to be different. You see that he extends beyond the kahuna, even after the being Kohen continues bring. So maybe he's also going to be paying what he did before he was a Kohen. He tells you the pasuk, Kohen Mashiach Yechto, he has to be doing it when the chet happened when he was a Mashiach. Similar thing by Nasi. So, like we said, before the Gemara brought this thing, is learn from Nasi. How do I know Nasi? Now I'm going to speak about Nasi. It says, Asher Nasi Yechto, when he was a Nasi, he was chayte, not before. Now do the Kavachomer to the other direction. Uma Mashiach Kohen Gadol. Should be chatos b'shav. He does bring a chatos even after he stopped being kohen gadol. He brings his own specific chatos part. And the other kohen doesn't bring on what happened before. No, so shame be chatos b'shav. Once he stopped being king, he loses the korban. And in addition to that, of course, it won't be a kohen. Mal Mashiach came, he v'shgog his ma'aseh. Mashiach doesn't bring on a regular mistake. In other words, he does just without a psak halacha. So maybe we'll say that, but I don't know what to do. It's this same pasuk, both things. Asher noseichto while he was nosi, not after, not before, only while he's nosi. Says the Gemara now. Maybe it's a gzeira that a king will be choyte. The kohen will be choyte. Meaning by kohen doesn't say for sure. Im yechto. Meaning if it will happen. Also it doesn't mean avad. Right? Says the Gemara, now the words explain itself a little bit more. What, there's a gzeira in a Torah that the king will do a chet? How do you understand that? So the Gemara mean, yeah, ashkechon, mifatash with it. Tichti minasati negatzaras abis eretz achuzaschem. Says the Gemara told Am Yisrael, when you go into Eretz Yisrael, you will have tzaras in your house. Not if you'll have tzaras, you will have tzaras. Why? What else does this? Rashi brings the Chumash. Psoyro ilem, it's a psoyro. Shene goyim boyim alem divrei abudo. What is the psoyro? So the many explain the pshat is the psoyro is because you have treasures underneath the house, or that they have kapara. Okay. So he's telling the Rashi over here, which is like we said mentioned in the mirror Margolius is Rivan. He doesn't say that it's for something good. Look at Lashon over here. He says shakos mevaso shatid liyoit avabi shudova ro, meaning it's not a psoyro toiva. It's just what tells you it's going to happen. Rashi and Chumash says that because that's how you're going to find treasures. Or just one interesting input, though. But you see that there is such a thing that there's a psoyro. Shmuel says it's going to happen. So maybe the same thing over here. So like we see by Menasati Galutzaz, it says psoyro lan should go in by Melan Divrei Abudo. Says the Gemara of Shimon Oimer, when it says Menasati Negatzaras Prat Lenigei Oinsim. What's a Nigei Oinsim? It means that it happened from a shade, so a spirit came and put it. So then that has to be Menasati, because I gave it. So says the Gemara takes his price and it says the first part. I would say maybe there's it's going to happen. He gaksiv im. Says the word that says im. Now, but it's very interesting. I mentioned actually in the Shom Machshon Nadaf yesterday that the Zoyar on this pasuk says in Nosi Yechta that it's for sure the Nosi will be a choyte. Why? Because he's a Balgaivo. Naturally, a king. Everybody's working for him. Everybody's worshiping him. So he feels good about himself. He probably will do a chit. He has more of a tendency to do a chit. That's what the Zohar tells us. Interesting. Says the Gemara, yeah. No, he's arguing. Pash is arguing. The reason says it's a psoy, it's going to happen. He says, no, it's not psoy. It's teaching you, coming from a different way. So when Shimon Nigoyinsim Milo Mitami, one time I quote Shimon, Oinsim is not Mitami. Meaning only once the Torah was given, then you have tzara, not tzara that happened before. Make sense? Rashi brings the limud, says that it says it has to be a new ziva, when it will be ziva afterwards. So it says by ziva, it's only after. If the same way ziva doesn't apply to before the Torah was given, so the tzaras doesn't apply to before. So we know by ziva, if it happened derech oines, which means it's not a natural thing, some event happened that caused it. So he fell, or he got burned, something happened that caused it. So then the din is that it's not as evil. But mitzvah even oinus. So you see, oinus does happen. You just said there's not the etzaras coming la fuki oinsim. So it says, so that's in another pasuk. We see a tzaras in bonus. Rabbi Omar prat lenigi ruchos. Rabbi Omar prat lenigi kshofim. Parshas, as before you explain, this is not he's coming to answer. Either he's coming to say yes, nigoin the kom behoinis is still tzaras, but not nigi ruchos that come from the spirit, or not nigi kshofim that comes from some witchcraft. That doesn't apply. That's what Yeshiva is going to say. It's not a nega. But nega that happens behoinis, someone, some burn, something, and the charami that will be a nega.
How are you going to tell what's the kish of?
I don't know. Except the sick nasi. So a what do you mean? Because he's sick, he's out? How we saw before, because he had tzaras. He was sitting in the house of freedom. Yosef, his son, we ran it. Talk about this is Ochos, right? If I'm mistaken. So it says that he became tzaras and his son took care of everything. So from here, Darshan, did he stop being a king? That was the idea. He stopped being a king. Now, what do you mean he stopped being a king? So the Gemara says, until now he was a slave because he was a king. But now that he has tzaras, he was a free man. Says the Gemara, what does it mean he was a slave? So Gamliel and Rabbi Shua are going, Gamliel and Shua are going in a ship. How does Gamliel have a pito? Gamliel has bread. He brought bread. Why? Because the journey on that ship was supposed to take a week. And he had enough bread for the week. How did Rabbi Shua have a pito of salt? Rabbi Shua had, except bread, he had also flour. The journey took longer than expected. Much longer. Instead of being a week, it was 2 weeks. So the bread of Gamliel is finished. Somach assaulted the Abishur. So Abishur, so Gamliel, what do you live on? The flour that Abishur had. Abishur had flour. He baked bread, and they had what to eat. How do you know there will be delay? He brought more food. And maybe this is the source of the Yiddish Shemamis. Pack a lot of food on the planes. Always packing more food than you need. So Rashi goes on to explain there is the northern star that tells the ships where's the north. But once every 70 years, there's another star that comes up that looks like the northern star, but it's really not the northern star, and it makes them get mixed up. So he says it could be what's going to happen. The ship, the sailors are going to follow that star. They'll make a mistake, and they will be stuck in sea for a longer time until he figures it out. I said maybe that will make us make a mistake. So that's what he told. That's what Bishul said. Listen, I took precautions. I took more food just in case, knowing that there is a chance that we'll make a mistake. So, whoa, you're so smart. What are you doing in a boat? In other words, and this is what the Pashup Shad, after this, there's oimik to these agatas, a lot, unfortunately speak about it. But just the Pashup Shad is, he's telling him, if you're so smart, you should have been able to make a lot of money. And sit at home and learn. And what do you need to go on the ship? Why are you so surprised about me? You have 2 Talmidim in Yabasha. You're Talmidim. Rabbi Lozo, Chasmo, Rabbi Yochanan, good Gedol. 2 great Talmidim. They can measure how many drops are in the sea. This opens an interesting discussion. Does it mean literally, not literally? What's the smallest drop? How do you divide a drop? Drop of water. They have no food and nothing to wear. They're poor. So you're saying you're assuming if someone's very smart, he will be able to make money easy. Not necessarily. You have to meet them who are very wise. And look what's happened. So decided when Gamliel, he's going to make them the Rosh Yeshiva. So that's what they'll be supported. So he called them to become the Rosh Yeshiva. They were not interested. The next time, he said the second time, they came. You do want to come the first time because he felt I don't want so much covet, I don't want so much struggle, chashivas. So he told them, Slavery. King is the slave to the nation. Whenever a person is a leader, he is a slave. Why? Because he's mutal. Rashi says over here, mutal of oil rabbin. You have to take away of the rabbin. It's not a covet thing. It's something he needs to be busy with the tzibur. So the Motor Rabban Asher Nosi Yechto Mab Yochim Ben Zakkai Shrei Ador. What's Asher? What's Asher? Ashrei. The Ashrei Ador Shanosi Shalei Mevi Korban El Shkagosu. If the king brings it's an Ashrei to the door, the king brings a korban. All the Mephoshim were busy over here. Why is Ashrei the door? Ashrei the king. Okay. All right. Says the Gemara in Nasi Shalei Mevi Korban. If the Nasi brings it, so of course the individual bring it. Of course, he'll do tshuva. It's a great generation. It says someone who did choite. It says also the word asher. You want to tell me the word asher is Loshen Ashrei? Praise be to the one who chotem in a kodesh. Was it Ashrei? So why? Why are you dashing your Ashrei? So here the Torah changed the lashon because it says by all the other ones in the psukim, Mashiach, Mashuach, Nefesh Echot Echto. He uses Asher. Suddenly changed the lashon. Asher no Echto. Why you change the lashon? I tell me the lashon Ashrei. It's a pasuk in Horayos, and he dashes the pasuk because the pasuk is I love the blue Gemars that says the lashon of the pasuk. Maybe someone can read it out loud. So read it out loud. The pasuk in Horayos Ches. See the Torah earlier.
No, I said it just can't read it.
I'll give it to me. I'll take it. I'll give it back to you. So the pasuk says, Yeshiva shenasa l'or t'sheyesh tzadikim shemagia l'kemaisa rishoyim. Some tzadikim get there with the rishoyim get. There's rishoyim shemagia l'kemaisa tzadikim. Why did you come to hevel? Now the hevel is a problem, and we'll first discuss it. But right now the Gemara is dashing without the word hevel. Sometimes rishoyim get there with tzadikim have, and sometimes tzadikim go with the rishoyim. What is it? It says the Gemara, Ashrei l'tzadikim shemagia l'em kemaisa rishoyim shalom abo boil mazeh. It's Ashrei for the tzaddik that gets with the Rasha is getting along. What is Rasha getting along? Suffering. The tzaddik gets suffering in this world, so he's able to rectify all the sins. And bad for the Rishonim when they have in this world the good that the tzaddikim will have in El Abo, because if they have it so good, that means they're not going to have good later. They're getting it premature. So like my father always says, and him and my Zaydil of Shalom, he used to say that everybody agrees it's better to be rich and healthy than poor and sick. I mean, if you have all good, it's better. You have to have a trade-off, right? He says, Ashrei l'tzaddikim that they're suffering in this world. No, it's better for tzaddikim that are having good in this world and the world of have both. Why Ashrei if they have it's bad, right? So he says, Ela marov Ashrei l'tzadikim shemagia lehem k'maisa rishon shalom hazeh bo'olam hazeh. Change it. It's better for the tzaddikim that they get in this world when we're showing get in this world. We're showing get in this world the full reward. If a tzaddik is able to have both, shter lamis, this world and next world, best for him. Then there's also the flip side. It can be a Rasha that he's suffering in this world and the next world. So that's the worst. So do you know these Mesechtas? This and this? Yeah, we know it pretty well. He says, "Isai to Porto. Do you become a little rich? Yes. The Zabron Ketinu Dar, we bought a small field, and we make money out of the field. So we're good. We're okay. We know how to learn. They have a good world. This world, and they have the Orlando. This, if you remember, we had this We had this in Maseches Nazir. This is the whole many lines that we're going to learn right now. We had this in Maseches Nazir. We have it right now again. So Pasuk says, "Yishar dai kashet tzei lechubam goyish v'kashlubam mashal l'shnei bnei adam shetzolu b'schem." They went and they roasted the Korban Pesach. Echad ochlo l'shum mitzvah, echad ochlo l'shum achila gaso. One ate it for a mitzvah, one ate it for achila gaso. Meaning, he didn't eat it with a mitzvah. Question, big discussion in the Rishonim goes back to Nazir. Achila gaso and matzah doesn't work. Is that called achila b'chlal? The pasha, the simple answer, I think it says it over there. Achila gasa doesn't mean achila gasa mamish. It means he's not enjoying it, but he's still eating. It says shachlu shum mitzvah tzadik me'chuba. He's a tzaddik. It says shachlu shum achila gasa poish because shum is a poishay. Says the Gemara, Amel Yishlakish Rosha Kori Slay. Is he a Rosha? Neither loyavi mitzvah min amufchor Pesach miloyal kachil. He's not doing the Pesach with the way he's supposed to, but he's still eating Pesach. Not a Rosha. If two people, each one of them have their wife and their sister in the same home. One, he was together with his wife. The other was together with his sister by mistake. Says she's down loish to tzaddik milchubom. He did a mitzvah. So she's down loish. He did it at Aveiro. So when we dummy. We want to say the same thing could be good for one, bad for the other. Here's not the same thing, it's two different mice. Oh, now the Gemara comes to the conclusion. Light with his two daughters. Because they thought the world was destroyed. Tzaddikim Yechubam, that's tzaddik. He knew the world was undestroyed. Maybe he had his intention was for a mitzvah, like them. The whole thing is Aveiro. He picked up his eye when Lot chose to go to Sdoim. His intention was for bad. How do you know that? Because every part of the pasuk is a reference to another Aveiro, a different place. So Lot picked up his eyes, and it says.
That's not talking about when he had that bear with his...
Right. Okay, what's that? Very good. Let's just first of all, say Dasho. We talk about the mistress of Yosef. When Shivsha wanted to have the woman of the Plishtis. It's called Gayaden ki biyadi shazoyna al kikar lechem. Ki kula mashke elcho achari mahavai nustei lachmi umimai. That's the Pasuk says about Abraham Yisrael, that they went after the Gashmis. He did the same thing. So, meaning what? So that's what Ramesh is asking over here is the Kushikash. Okay, that tells you that when he went to Zdoim, he had an intention for Aveiro. Who say he wanted to do Aveiro over here as well? So one simple understanding is that he was a Russian. It just shows he was a Russian. Don't tell me he had the Gemara tells us Chazal knew the daughters of Lot with tzaddikas. They were doing everything Shem Mitzvah. Here you see from the beginning of his whole journey, he was a Russian. That's the simple understanding. Sigma V'Amenis on his one he was honest. He gave him to drink and he fell asleep. Says the Gemara, says Lo Yada B'Shachva U'Bikumo. He didn't know when she went to sleep when she got up. He didn't know when she got up what happened. It's too late. The next night, why did he drink? He realized what's going on. So he left Abraham, so he's a nifsha. So he caused him to be separate from Avraham. It was the whole story with his daughters. Then he has Ammon and Moav, and where the nation came out, and he caused it to be a way. And again, it's a little hard to understand because you say that's really not negate the story in the Torah. And again, but it means he left Avraham over here. He once prayed him. Shani Galash has got Kloina Yubaknetilis with the Midrashis, that 2 shares Loshan Taiva, and he there you saw his calling because if we tell him he can't Tanan Amoinu Mavi Asun Israel. And that was forever. There was news of Tamar with who? Tamar, the daughter-in-law of Yehuda. And you have Zimri. By the case of Bnei Moed. Tammuz in Tzoytzoy Mino Melachim Menevim. Look what happened to all the Melachim Menevim came from her. Zimri Zino Naflu Kama Revovis Meisrael. Because people, in other words, why? Because she did her Shemaim and he did not. And that leads us to the next Gemara. It's greater to do Aveir Lishma, to do Aveir with the right intention, than to do a mitzvah without Lishma. What's the story with Yael? That she slept with Sisra and causes death. My name is Noshiboyel. So she's very like them because she did Aveir Lishma. She was with this Rasha to make it tired so they're able to kill her. So it says the Chatchila person should learn Shlo Yishma to get Lishma. So Lo Lishma is very good. They told me Aveir Lishma is greater. We see Lo Lishma as a very good thing. And there's a lot of Torah on this. This is like, if you open Southern Miami Kremis, and this is like all the Svarim, like, wait, first of all, Mechetesi, that's greater, maybe it's less. What is Mitzvah Shlo Yishma? What about the Tais already did the rest of many times where the Gemara brings it? We have a din that it's better not to do things Lo Yishma. Sometimes we say Lo Yishma is bad, so this is good. So there's a lot to come with the Midayak over here. Same way, Mitzvah Shlo Yishma, they're equal. You have Aveir Lishma and Mitzvah Lishma, they're both equal. The Be'ilas that sister had with Yoel were 7. It says there, Nefila, a few times to tell me it comes to be 7. And that's what happens. She's enjoying. Yeah, she's doing Aveir, but the money she's enjoying. That comes out from the Gemara there in Nazir. The Aveir Lishma is fine as long as you don't enjoy enjoyment. Enjoyment, we have a din of Misasik B'chalom V'Harayis is considered to be a not. If he's nene, it's a problem. It's because we become honor. So the Gemara, Omar Rabbi Yehushua B'Shua B'Echad Filu Tevosav Shevishayim Rohi Etzatzadik. She didn't enjoy it because to be by with a Russia, she's not interested. So Yoel did not have a no with Sisera. Omar Vidom Rav Lo Ilum Yasik Adam Mitzvah Mitzvah Shloishma Shidach Shloishma Balishma. Even Shloishma, you get to Lishma. Balak put out 42 korbanos, and that's why you had a rus coming out of him. So she came from there. And why? Because we say, so here comes the Indian, what's Shalosh? Has to be Lo Lishma that has the potential to get to Lishma. So if it's, and the Octavius points out, if you place a Shalosh Shma Lekantir, that doesn't work. Has to be Shalosh Shma, like he did it at Al Tzfir Balak, that he wanted just to protect his nation. How do we know that Kishbul doesn't take away even someone who speaks more gently? Pchira called her son Moyav. What does Moyav mean? Me'av. She's announcing, this is my father's child. Don't start with Moyav, don't do a word with Moyav. Milchama, Dafka Milchama it says. You could call it, what? Upset them, start, a little bit of raids over here and there. Don't start with Milchama. The younger one, the Karya Ben Ami. Ben Ami doesn't indicate where it came from. That's it, Milchama. Don't get close to him. So because she was more gentle with the words, she has a little bit more of a milo over there. It's better to do mitzvah earlier. Because the bchira, the older daughter of Lloyd, was with him first. She did it for the mitzvah. She, from her, came Rusa Mavia. That was the mother of, that came that she joined Am Yisrael earlier. And it says in Malchus, even though it says Malchus, but she was there with Am Yisrael. And by the Ammon joined Am Yisrael only by Shlomo HaMelech, because it says it was Rechavim and Shlomo who came from Anama Amonis. So only there she joined. So she was 4 generations earlier, and that was a mile. So the more concludes over here, obviously there's so much to talk about, but we're just going to stay with the point of Shach. But one thing we see over here, there's the older daughter of Lot, Klap and the younger daughter. There's a mile for the older, there's a mile for the younger. The mile of the older, she was Mizdaris to do it earlier. And the mile of the younger is that she was more gentle with her words. And each one, for that, you have 2 rewards. The one who was gentle, they didn't touch them. The one, and that is not. And the one who was fast, he got close to Am Yisrael in a faster way. So stop continuing from here tomorrow.